I think the intense greenness of my hat and whiteness of my shirt makes me look tan. I'm not though, it's an illusion. I'm from Minnesota. I haven't seen the sun in weeks. Hey YouTube, so we're gonna jump right into the video and cut to the chase. Confession, even several weeks into seeing each other, Grace did not know that I identified as pan, bi, queer, meow 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 meow, insert label that means not quite gay but not quite straight. So I had to tell her. And it was honestly pretty scary. I think this is really interesting, and we're gonna talk about it for a couple reasons. Number one, my fear and the conversation that you're about to see definitely illustrates that there is quite a bit of biphobia and bi prejudice out there, and that can make it really hard for in the middle of the spectrum people to come out. Number two, on platforms like this, you see YouTubers talking all the time, really openly and really confidently about their sexuality and identity, which is great, but the truth is, and I want you to know, that we all still have moments where we get nervous about being accepted, just like you. Those feelings are normal and you should never be ashamed of feeling like that. Alright, let's go, but stick around because there are some special guests at the end. Shwa! So when you first met me, love, what did you think my sexuality was?
I just thought you were gay. All my friends are just pretty much gay, like the majority, I would say about 95% of my friends identify strictly as just lesbian. I assumed, which I probably shouldn't have, but that was what happened. That's
totally okay. I'm guilty of the exact same thing. Like, what's different about you assuming that I'm gay than like when I saw you on Tinder and assumed that you were gay? I mean,
yeah,
granted I happen to be right, but we still made the same assumption. Automatically assuming that someone is gay isn't necessarily right, but it's natural and it happens, and even I am guilty of it. Like, I did the same thing. How long did it take for me to tell you that I identified in the middle of the spectrum rather than gay, and how long did it take for me to tell you that my last relationship was with a man?
We were at kind of like a party with some of my friends. One of my friends specifically pulled you away to have a very, very serious conversation.
Yes, I had only just met them.
Yes. A couple of my friends came up to me later that night and they were like, "You need to talk to Ashley."
Really? I didn't know this.
They're like, "I can't tell you what it is because she wants to like tell you, but..."
Oh, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I remember because they asked me, they were like, "Who is your ex?" I said their name, and their name is pretty gender neutral. And then they were like, "Boy or girl?" And I was like, "Boy." Not like I should be ashamed of that or anything, but like I was in an environment with like just a bunch of lesbians.
Yeah.
And this wasn't something that we had really explicitly talked about. So I did say to them, I was like, "Hey, maybe don't tell Grace. Maybe let me tell Grace because she doesn't know this yet." But I didn't know that they like ran off to you and were like, "You need to talk to Ashley."
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
In the car, you were like, my ex is a guy," and I was like, "Okay, all right." I was like, "Wait, you're into me, right?" And you're like, "Yeah." It's like, cool. You never specifically told me that you were in the middle of the spectrum.
I actually did.
When?
On our first date, I told you I was queer.
Yeah, I guess. But you didn't ever tell me that you were pan or bi. Like, you said I was queer.
Yep, I did use queer because it's the gayest of qualifiers.
Yeah, so I probably didn't read too much into it.
Yeah, and I didn't want you to read too much into it.
Yeah.
And I specifically didn't push the conversation more or use words like bi or pan because I just kind of wanted to like test the waters with the idea. She was totally open and totally fine with it, and it was fantastic.
I have an ex-boyfriend. It's not like...
What? Why do you think it took me so long to tell you this?
Probably because some people aren't cool with bi, unfortunately, and they think you should be all about women or all about men. I mean, personally, I think it comes from a lot from jealousy. They don't want to have to worry about, be like, well, what if they want something from a man that I can't give them as a lesbian?
They can't fully satisfy their partner?
Yeah. Well, at least with you, I don't feel like that's true at all.
I was gonna say, do you feel like this?
No. You and I have a really open and like honest communication about like next to everything. When I ever have felt insecure about stuff, I feel like I have talked to you about it and just been like, "Hey, is this gonna be an issue?" And
I say, yeah! Another thing that I feel like makes bisexuals afraid to come out, and another thing that I think deters lesbians from dating bisexuals is kind of the idea that their feelings towards one gender kind of invalidates their feelings towards another gender. A way to think about this is, oh, I hear you saying that you're bisexual, but I actually just think that you're experimenting, or you're confused, or no, you're gay, you're just on your way. And it's like, no, like, why can't you accept that I truly, like, am attracted to and could potentially be interested in both genders.
Yeah. Let me hear your thoughts on this, because a lot of times when people first come out, they come out as bi. So I feel like it's like a journey that they discover more about themselves, or it's something, you know, it's an easier way to transition into the like queer community.
But yeah, and I don't think that there is anything wrong with first coming out as bi and then later coming out as gay. If that's the journey you went through, and if that's what feels right to you to do, that's what's right for you then. However, just because some people do that doesn't mean that I am also those people and that I am on my way to being gay, or that I am still confused, or I am experimenting. No, some people can like...
They've already figured it out.
They've figured it out.
Yeah.
They truly like both.
If you would have been like, just so you know, I identify in the middle of the spectrum and I would have been like, well, that's a lot of information.
Coming out really never naturally comes up in conversation. So it can be really scary for somebody in the middle of the spectrum to find an opportunity to come out, and then you get into the argument of whether or not they should even have to come out. Like, why do you didn't have to come out to me, why do I have to come out to you? Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure, no, I get that though. I mean, now that you bring that up, it's kind of like, I mean, why? Two of the things that really stuck out to me that you said, like your initial reaction when I first came out to you, was that must have been so scary. Oh yeah.
And did you think I would feel differently towards you? Like, it really validated like all of my nerves to hear you say, wow, that must have been scary. Because it was a scary thing. I don't necessarily think it should be a scary thing, but because of...
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Well, because when you first told me, I was like, oh, she probably thought I was gonna leave or something.
Right.
You know, because... Oh, but God, that would have been the stupidest thing I could have ever done.
Aww. The only solution to all of this is truly just talking openly. And if it takes you a while to get to it, it takes you a while to get to it. And if you want to jump into it right away, then you want to jump into it right away. Just try your best to do what feels right and honest.
We dig communication.
I hate it. Shut up.
Okay, bye!
I hope you liked that video, and now here are some more tubers and their experiences coming out in the middle of the spectrum.
So last summer I actually came out as pansexual to my mom, and this was the first time I was telling a parent, so it was really nerve-wracking, but it was a very freeing experience. The only issue was that unlike when you just come out as gay, where you could just be like, I like men, or I like women, this was a little different because she didn't quite get it, which is totally understandable because up until that point she's never heard that term before. So I really had to be clever about how I explained it to her. I told her it was kind of like a buffet, like I like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I like a little bit of everything. Her face was just like, oh. Okay. It's a little bit frustrating having to explain it all the time, but it's actually a really good thing when you explain it because more people will know what it is.
People tend to devalue the whole coming out process for bisexuals, saying that it's like not as big of a deal for us as it is to people who are gay. But no, it's just as important, and it can be just as hard to do.
I had two very different experiences coming out as bisexual, one in my personal life and one in my YouTube LGBT community life. Coming out to my family was scary in general, but coming out as bisexual was even scarier. I was scared they would think I was going through a phase, which isn't true, but some people do think that, and I didn't want them to think that. I've had people tell me bisexuality isn't real, and that you just haven't made up your mind. In the community, I feel accepted to a degree. Accepting myself was the hardest part, so the people that don't accept it, I just want to try and make them understand. Understand that bisexuality is just like any other sexuality. My advice would be just accept yourself, because once you do that, you'll be happy, and the rest will kind of just fall into place.
Coming out as pansexual is usually met with 3 different reactions. 1. No one has a clue what you mean, so you have to go into a detailed explanation as to what your sexuality actually is. 2. People ask if it's bisexual but with a fancier name. And 3. People ask if you're attracted to kitchen work. Pansexuality is misunderstood, unheard of, and often ridiculed even within the LGBT community.
Yay! Leave a comment below. What are your thoughts on the whole coming out as bi, pan, queer, meow, 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 meow in the middle? Is it scary? Is it easy? Is it the same or different as coming out as gay? I want to know what you think. Okay, bye! Follow me on Twitter!
I've been asked on behalf of Ashley to have you subscribe and like. Pretty please for me, like for me, please like for for me. Pretty please for me, I'll give you fake money.